Welcome to Women Insurepreneurs, the podcast empowering female insurance agents to thrive in the industry. Join us as we dive into the world of insurance entrepreneurship, share success stories, and provide invaluable insights through the lens of female entrepreneurship. Let's unleash the power of women in insurance together. Welcome to another episode of Women Insurepreneurs. We have Emma on today. Emma is a realtor and real estate investor. So we're going to pick her brain and she is going to pour into us today.
So many of you might be thinking, why do they have a real estate agent or real estate investor? I thought we were women entrepreneurs, but we want to make sure that you guys understand our inclusivity of all, many different industries. Us women struggle and we share the same struggles when we're entrepreneurs. So that's why we want to include all these different industries and speak to different women entrepreneurs to make sure that, we pick their brains and see how they did it, how they succeeded, how they overcame their struggles and managed to get to where they're at. So we're really excited to have you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And actually, with that being said, Emma, can you tell us a little bit about your background or, what do you do?
So I am 36 years old. I am a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a real estate agent and a real estate investor. I like to work out. I am a foodie person. I like to spend time with my family. I also like to travel. I'm Mexican American. I love my tequila. And I just like to live life like freely with just like my family and my child. By the way, she's 21 months. So I'm a brand new mom. That's definitely been
Congratulations.
taking a lot of my daily life, but honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And what would you say, as far as inspiration, who or what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Honestly, I don't have a person that kind of told me to become an entrepreneur. I got into the entrepreneurial business during COVID. Honestly, I got laid off from my 9 to 5 job and I was in quarantine for months. I wasn't doing anything. I was going crazy. And me and my husband had a conversation and he's like, hey, do you really want to go back to work? Is this something you really want to focus on? I was HR. I was working for human resources at Export Fitness. It's a big fitness gym. We have locations all over Illinois, and that was pretty much kind of my first job. So I was there from like 18 till during COVID. I think I was like 33 at the time, 32. So
Wow.
I grew within the company. I started like a front desk juice bar girl. And then I started scaling and finished off as an HR rep. And, I working at like my 9 to 5 or at Export Fitness, I was always like busy on pace. I had so many things to do. And I really liked that. I enjoy like multitasking. So when COVID hit, I was going crazy because I was like, man, I'm just at home. There's no one on the street. Like, what am I doing? What's going on here? And that made me really like, pivot to real estate because I had already bought a multi-unit when I was 25 and my parents are big into the real estate industry. Like they have multis, they flip houses. So, I ended up getting my real estate license and ever since then, I stopped working and COVID literally laid me off. So I got my real estate license. I started, being a realtor. And then I ended up selling my multi because I wanted to buy and flip homes. So I got capital from selling my multi and now I invest in single family homes or even multis. I'm actually under contract in one right now. So that's pretty much where I got my motivation to become an entrepreneur. COVID was the one that pushed me out there to get my real estate license and, not rely on a W-2 or a biweekly check. So I would definitely say COVID, aside from my daughter, but for sure COVID.
Yeah. And that was that a lot of people had that experience. You've seen a lot of people that were like selling knickknacks or doing art, like their hobbies came
Yes,
out during COVID. But I want to
absolutely.
point out something because you said that you started as the juice girl, juice bar, something like that, right? And then worked your way all the
Mm-hmm.
way to HR. So I think that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but your work ethic was always there. Like you were always striving for more, even though you technically were under a corporation, a W-2, right?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
that's a big
Yes.
gap from
That
juice
Yeah.
to
is
HR.
juice bar, yeah, to HR.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely always been the type of girl that I've always had like drive and ambition. But I
Mm,
didn't know, like back then we didn't have internet, we didn't have podcasts, we didn't have motivational videos. I mean, mentors weren't really like a thing. So I slowly like started picking up on everything as soon as COVID hit, and it's crazy because COVID pretty much woke up a lot of people. I know my coach,
yes.
for instance, he was he was working at Export, and COVID pushed him to get his own studio and start training people, like
Yes.
some I feel like we needed that push to kind of like step into the entrepreneurial world because a lot of people are afraid to leave their 9 to 5. A lot of people are scared to not have that biweekly check, and I think at the end of the day, it just depends on who you are. If you have that ambition and that drive, you can definitely walk out like from a biweekly check and really focus on what you want to do in life, whether it's, being a real estate agent or an investor, opening up your business, being involved in the insurance world. Like it just all depends on really that person's goals.
Mm-hmm. I think that also woke up a lot of people to realize that all that faith and security that you're putting into your job, you're right. So, COVID, I think, woke up a lot of people to realize that your job may not be as secure as you think. There was a lot of people that lost their
Exactly.
Absolutely.
jobs. They had worked there for 15
Absolutely.
years, 20 years, and
Yes.
just like that
Yeah.
in the blink of an
Yeah.
eye, right?
And
Just
several of
like
those
bye.
businesses never made it back out of COVID, of the COVID era, of the COVID depression, right? And
Yeah.
to your point, Jackie and Emma, I think COVID really brought out the entrepreneur in a lot of people. And if it's in you, if COVID didn't bring that out in you, it's not in you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I
For
agree
those of us that,
100%.
yeah, for those of us that are have always like yourself, Emma, been driven, we looked for more. We wanted
Yeah.
more, right?
Of
And
course.
yeah, back then, I mean, I worked at distribution, so I was an essential employee, right, as they call it,
Mhm.
but I still wanted more, right? So I totally understand what you mean by that. Like you have to start looking for something else because one source of income is too close to zero. It's one of my biggest like that's the way I think, right? One source
Especially
of income is
nowadays.
too close to zero. Yeah, and I think COVID proved that to everybody.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%. I think COVID definitely, was a blessing to some people as far as,
Hmm.
um, entrepreneurs and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot of people that lost their families, and
Hmm.
that definitely is really sad. But I feel as far as like work related goals, business and stuff like that, it definitely pushed a lot of people that really wanted to get into the entrepreneurial journey to really like step into it.
Yes.
And that for me, COVID was it. If COVID wouldn't have happened, I probably would still be working my 9 to 5 job, as
Wow.
so many other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that because you said your parents are into real estate, right? So they also kind of have that entrepreneurial bone, it seems, right? Because if they're buying and investing, they're putting themselves out there, they're not having that fear. Um, are they were born in the US or were they born in Mexico?
No, my parents were born in Mexico, and they came to the States. And actually both of my parents, they're hustlers. My dad worked for the city of Chicago. He was a painter, and my mom, it's 4 kids. I'm the oldest one. Stayed at home, and she was a housewife. But she was like the operations of everything. Like my dad made the money, but my mom really saved up and started investing. I remember she was telling me the
Mm.
story when they bought their first multi-year. I mean, we're talking about over 30 years ago. It was like $60,000 back then. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? Um,
Wow.
And she was telling me, she's like, your dad was scared, he was like, there was a language barrier, and he was like,
Mm.
no, like, I don't want to get into this. And my mom's like, like, why not? We're making money. I have money saved up. We're buying a multi. And by that time, it was me and my sister only. So my mom literally was the one that pulled the trigger to get into real estate investing. My dad was a little bit more like scared and stuff like that because he wasn't really familiar with anything. But my mom was like, I am not going to let language be a barrier. Like, we came to this country to better ourselves and live the American dream. We're going to make this happen. And ever since that building, everything's history. Like, my dad always tells me right now, he's 72, and he's like, I wish I was like 20 years younger and I want to buy more real estate,
Oh.
and because he's older now. So, it's just like harder and stuff like that. But yeah, my mom was the one that literally pretty much put the operations together, saved the money, invested, like everything, while my dad was working the city job.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think you learned that even indirectly, you learned that you see your parents' ambition. You see that, like you said, they're not from here. So they're like, we're going to make it happen. We came here for a reason, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That kind of leads to the next thing I was going to ask you, which is what keeps you motivated and driven?
Me, myself, I'm literally like my biggest fan and critic. I try not to compare myself to a lot of people. It's really hard, especially nowadays, because you have social media, you follow influencers, you follow people that, are obviously in the same field that are doing better than you. And I used to be that person. I'm like, man, look at that person. That person's doing way better than me. I should have been doing this, blah, 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 blah. And that really like stressed me out. Like, I was so frustrated. I was stressed. I was in a bad mood. And my husband was like, dude, like, your time will come. Like, relax, So I started kind of just detaching myself a little bit from like watching all the people that were like being successful, and really started focusing on me, myself, and my goals. And aside from that, my daughter literally, she motivates me. I mean, that little tiny body is like very motivational. I see her laugh, her, giggling, playing around, and I'm just like, I want her to see me become someone in life so she can follow those steps, But my parents also, they're very motivational. I mean, my parents came from literally nothing, like nothing. And, to see how far they've become in just investing in the real estate industry, makes me want more for myself, more for my family. If my parents did it with the language barrier and they didn't really know the in and outs of like finances and things like that, and I have the language, I know more, I know how to work social media, I know how to work a computer, like I need to be able to prove them that I can do this and I can do more than what they've done in this life, So yeah, my parents, my daughter, and I think myself.
Nice.
That's
I
good.
love that.
Being self-motivated. I've heard that back then when I used to do like job interviews, they would say, are you self-motivated? Or I would see the question and I was always like, well, like who cares? Like, it's just like a common question. But then when I was on the other end of hiring people, I'm like, actually it really matters because life is gonna life, right? There's always gonna be something. Are you a self-motivated person where you can get up and, take the blows but keep moving?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And there's, there's days that you're not going to have good days, and there's some days that you're going to have great days, but consistency and being disciplined, those little things really matter to get you to your end goal. I've always looked at it that way, like for example, even like working out and eating right eventually is going to get you to 5 pounds down, 10 pounds down, or whatever the case is, whatever your fitness goals or any goals, consistency and discipline really does play a big part of any type of like business entrepreneur motivation. And I feel like I am a disciplined person, a consistent person. I can work on it, but I do think I have really good discipline when it comes on to any working on my goals or anything like that.
Well, Emma, I just to touch on what you said, I love that you bring up discipline, right? Because anybody could be motivated. What about those days that we're not right? When we're not motivated, that's where I always say when motivation lacks, that's where discipline kicks in. I love it.
Yes.
So when you have to tap into that discipline, like what is that driving factor? Is it like you said, your daughter, yourself, your end goal? Is that what you focus on to tap into the discipline?
Yeah, I look at also the past things that I've done. Like for example, I'm 36, and when I was I don't know, 33, I had a certain goal as far as real estate, having a certain amount of properties, and life happens. There's things that like obviously I have no control in, and I now that I look back and I see things that I haven't done, it's like, all right, like I said I was going to do this and I haven't done this. I need to work on
Hmm.
this. This goal, I'm like behind on this goal. And I write my
Hmm.
goals. I write my goals at the beginning of the year. I actually was talking to my husband about this when the year started. I was like, I have my goals written down for the year. What about you? And he's more like, we'll just do better. I'm like, no, do better. Like, that's really
It's too
not
vague.
like
Yeah.
exactly. You need to write them, you need to visually see them every single day, every week. You know, if this is not working, what can I do to get me to this? But you need to visually see these type of goals everywhere so you don't forget, about being
Hmm.
consistent or disciplined. Um, so I think just little things like that, like that's how I keep myself disciplined. Obviously, my daughter, but writing my goals is a big important thing for me. Manifesting, well, it's
Yes.
it's crazy because like in the Mexican culture, is they're like manifesting, like what? No, but like talking to yourself, like I have conversations by myself in my car,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, I need to do
Yeah.
this. Yeah, I should have done this. Things like that, like talking nice to yourself. Like that's how things get done.
Absolutely. And you know what? People say that, oh, what's manifesting? Do you guys know? Think about it. How many of us had grandmas that sat there and just mumbled to each other or prayed, right? The
Hmm.
rosary just to themselves. That's a form of manifestation. Prayer is a form of manifestation. So it's something that our grandmas started, right? When they're
Yeah.
sitting there praying and talking to themselves and humming to themselves.
Yep.
That's their meditation. That's their form of meditating and,
Hmm.
speaking what they want to see into existence. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. What would you say, Emma, is like a big challenge or maybe some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered as an entrepreneur now, but how you've overcome them?
Patience. I lack patience. I, want to be in control of everything, and I can't. Things happened, and it sucks because I am such a like fast paced person, and I feel, I don't know if you guys heard that saying where like, try to delegate stuff to other people, but then you realize that people don't do it the way that you do, and you're just like, screw this, like I'm gonna do it myself, and it's just
Hmm.
like, well, something that I really had a hard time like working on is obviously things don't go as planned, and me not having any patience as far as like for example, I this property that I had under or that I have under contract, I put it up on the market February 20th. I told my husband, I was like, listen man, this property needs to sell, like we need to go under contract like in 2-3 days. And he looked at me, he's like, are you crazy? And I was like, yes, like I need my capital to do other things. So long story short, it didn't happen, and I was going crazy. I saw that I was going crazy because my attitude was, I was having issues with my husband, I was being mean to my daughter, and I'm like, this is affecting like my daily life. I need to change that attitude, like I cannot be in control of everything, and things are going to happen, and I need to be okay with that. I have these goals, but life happens, so I need to make sure that I don't get frustrated with the fact of things not being done the way that I want them to get done. And that's something that has been really hard for me to overcome. And I'm still working on it because when things don't go my way, I get quiet. I get very serious and I don't want to talk to anyone. And if I do, I'm in a bad mood, and it's not fair for the surroundings, like my family, my husband, or my toddler. This is like, it's life and things happen. So patience has been something that I've definitely been working on. And I pray a lot. So I've slowly have worked on it a little bit, but I'm not where I'm supposed to be. That's for sure.
But it's good that you recognize where the issue is. I think that's a lot of people don't do that. So they're just going around in circles and circles. Actually sitting down, like you said, having conversations with yourself to say, what do I need to work on? Like,
Right.
and I'm kind of the same way. Like I'll have a conversation with myself, but I'll just beat myself up the whole time. And then
Yeah.
my husband will be like, but dude, you did this, 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 and that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. So there's got to be a balance, I think, of
Absolutely.
both. What would you say is like a success story, like an achievement or milestone that you're proud of?
So when I was 25, I was working at Export Fitness. I think at the time I was an operations manager at Brickyard. That was a gym on the north side. And my parents kept hammering down, like, you need to buy real estate. And I was like 25 at the time. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I will. I'll get to it right now. I'm just trying to live life, I'm trying to go out, travel, party, things like that. Things that like you
Yeah.
do in your mid 20s,
Yeah.
And my dad was like, no, like you don't. You need to do this. And granted, I've always been the type of person that really listens to her parents. Like I do listen to my parents. You know how there's stories where people don't listen to their parents or they're very stubborn? It's the opposite with me, like I really listen to my parents. So I've always saved my money. We had this thing where anytime, like, if my sister got a job or my brother got a job or my other sister got a job, our first check, we would give it to our mom because it was kind of like a blessing, like God would gift us with more money and prosperity and things like that. So I saved money and I bought my first multi at 25. And honestly, like I was really happy I did it because, back then I bought my multi at like 160. That was, well, 10, like 11 years ago. Yeah, 30. That was a big milestone that, I accomplished early on in my life or in my career, my real estate career. And I'm very happy I did it, and I did it because my parents kept pressing me to do it. So I'm proud that I did that because now during COVID, when I sold that property, I ended up profiting like 210 liquid cash,
Wow.
which that's what I've
Nice.
been using that money to, invest in other properties and things like that. So I'm very grateful that, that property like started my entire real estate career and business. So I'm very happy I did that.
Nice. And you mentioned your parents kind of were like that. They're like sound like mentor or support. But have you had any other mentors or maybe sources of support that you think have been crucial in your journey?
No, I haven't found I've been trying for the past actually 3 years. I've been trying to find like a good real estate investor mentor.
Mhm.
But I feel like I haven't really connected with any of person. Like they say that in order for you to pick a mentor, you need to follow them like in their social media platforms for about a year to see if you connect with them, like
Mhm.
mentally, like do they have the same personality as you, or are they like more aggressive? Are they funny? Things like that. And I feel like that the people that I've followed on my social medias platforms, like I haven't really connected with anyone. So right now I'm pretty much, listening to podcasts, motivational videos, things like that. But I really do hope that in the near future I can find someone that I can connect with. Uh, so because mentor, like I would love to have a mentor, especially when it comes onto real estate, for sure. But as of right now, I just don't feel like I've connected with anyone at all.
Yeah, it's hard. That's honestly part of the reason. Well, that's a main main reason for me that I approached Sonia and created this group was because I struggled to find a mentor and support when I started my journey as an insurance agent back in 2011. And this is a male dominated industry.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's even like 10 times harder because there's not a lot of women. The women that I had encountered at previous jobs, because there were so few of us, we were like pinned against each other versus
Mhm.
Oh,
Helping
being
each other.
supportive,
really?
because it's like
Yeah.
you got to be
Wow.
that one woman to stand out in the group. So it was really hard. So that's part of the reason that we do this. And we have a meetup group too, actually, where we try to connect women with other leaders and mentors. The reason that we're having you on here, because maybe someone, even while you're looking for one, maybe, and I've learned this too, sometimes you have to be one to how did I say, like, there's a saying that says, if you need a friend, be a friend, or something like that.
Yeah.
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 Be what
But
you
there
want
may
to
be a
be.
girl, yeah, there may be a girl listening and wanting you to be a mentor for her, by hearing
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
Yeah.
story. So,
No, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree. You definitely have to be like, it's like just how that saying goes, you want to be around, good people and around people that are going to help you build, you don't want to be around people that are just going to gossip, like you want to be
mhm.
around people that are
Absolutely.
going to,
Yes.
have intellectual conversations, business building, networking type of thing, instead of just like having people that just gossip about people. Like, where's that going to get you? That's going to get you absolutely nowhere,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
totally
so
agree.
draining. Like, I have always wanted to surround myself with positive people, because even though, like, for entrepreneurs, and you're going to learn this, you guys already know it, but you end up working a lot. You end up working more than your 9 to 5. But
I
when
Yes.
agree.
you like what when you like what you do and you're surrounding yourself with, like Emma said, good people, it doesn't drain you. You actually feel
No.
inspired, right? I have a
Yep.
conversation with you guys. I'm in my meetup and I'm back to back on meetings, but I'm bouncing ideas around. I'm inspired by her story. She just reminded me that I need to focus on discipline. So I'm actually feeling
Yes.
inspired.
Same.
Versus, and I've been around these people that they spend their day, and I mean, no shade to them. It
Negative.
is what it is. You know how we keep it real over here, but you spend your day gossiping about people, and it's like, ha ha ha, it's getting you through the day, but it's like you're draining as hell. Like,
Yes.
what did
Right.
you
It's that
gain
Right.
it's
from that
that
conversation?
energy. Exactly. It's that
Exactly.
energy.
And it's crazy because, there's sometimes it's people that are really close in your circle, like,
Yeah.
it can
Mm-hmm.
be cousins, family, your next door neighbor. It's like, damn, really? I didn't even expect you to be that type of person. Like, why are you so
Yeah.
negative? You know what I mean? Like, this is my business, or whatever the case is. I mean, I remember when I really started working on my social media platforms, like, I would get so much crap from close close people, and I was like, damn, like,
Aren't you
for
supposed to be
real,
my
like,
number
that's
one supporters? And you're like,
exactly,
yeah, I
and
totally
they
get it.
say there's this saying that strangers are always going to be your number one
Number one
supporters, you know what I
supporters.
mean?
Yep.
Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
never going to be people that like grew up with you, or
Yeah.
that have been like really close friends with you. It's always going to be that stranger that's on the other side of the screen.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
And
so
like they
true.
say, they also say that people want you to do good, just not better than them, you know? So
Exactly.
that's something else that unfortunately the people that aren't good for you, that don't have positive intentions and that don't have good intentions and positive energy, they're always going to hate on what you accomplished because either they couldn't do it or you were the fearless one that went after what you wanted and they were just too
Hmm.
scared to go after it. So that's
Yeah.
something else that they see in themselves, like, and they hate about themselves, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that doesn't allow them to support you. So I totally get that.
I
Yeah,
agree 100%.
that's something, and we've talked about this before, but was really, really hard for me because, like you said, Emma, it's not, a lot of times it's not, it's your people that are closest to you that are unsupportive. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand that at first because I'm like, but damn, I'm such a supportive friend. I try to be at least. So I'm the opposite. Like, you're opening up a store, let's go. You have an
Yeah.
open house and you want us to show up,
Let's
I'm
go.
showing up. So
Hmm.
I was
Yes.
expecting that same support back and I was
Yeah.
taking it personal. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
like you said too, like, I pray a lot. So now I've actually learned, like, you don't want support from just anybody, because you actually want
Yeah.
those people that are not going to be doing like mal de ojo or EY or whatever. You want people that are actually going to really, really be supportive,
Genuinely.
truly supportive, because there could be people that can smile in your face, but the whole time, like Sonia said, they're wishing your downfall. And now
Yeah.
you're sharing details about your business and about your
Mhm.
plans with the wrong people.
Wrong
So now I'm
people.
like, you know what? Instead of taking it personal, if you're not a part of my circle, it's for a reason. And I've learned that,
Yeah.
and
For the
God
better.
handles
Yeah.
that. God handles that for me. He can
Yeah.
because he could see things that I can't see. I can't see in their heart and
Absolutely.
their true
And
thoughts.
Their
So
intentions and
I
stuff.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think us as
mhm.
women, because there's so much bad energy out there, right? Us as women need to realize that at the end of the day, at in any aspect of it, any way you look at it, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. I always say that. Just give me
Yeah.
four quarters, 4 shiny quarters. I'll take that any old day than 100 pennies.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's the same thing, but it's not the same value. Individually,
Yep.
it's not the same value. So, and
Yeah.
Emma, I wanted to pinpoint something that you said, that even where you're like this boss babe, real estate investor, agent, you still look for a mentor, right? You never stop learning. You still look for somebody. I want to look up to someone. I want someone that's where I want to be, because you never stop wanting more. I want someone that's where I want to be to mentor me to get to that next level. So it's an awesome way of seeing life itself. You never stop learning. You never stop growing, and you always reach out. Because
Yeah.
like they say, if you're the smartest one in the room, you don't belong in that room. You need to get
Mm-hmm.
away. You
Yeah.
need to
No,
get out
yeah,
of
for
that
sure.
room.
Especially
Yeah.
nowadays, like everything's so digital. Like you need to be on point. Like you need to make
Yes,
sure you're keeping up, because it's so easy for you to get left behind, And I
absolutely.
definitely don't want to be that type of person. Like, I'm 36. I really want to, grow my real estate business. I want to scale my real estate portfolio, and I know that I need to do that obviously by hiring someone that's done it, but obviously I want to make sure that I'm connecting with that mentor. So I
Absolutely.
definitely, I for a fact, I know I need to work on getting a mentor, but I'm for sure going to get one.
Yes, absolutely. And we need to connect too, because I've always wanted to go into multifamily. So we need to, we'll
For
connect. I'll for
sure.
sure, we'll for sure connect.
Real life connections happening
Real life
on the
connections
podcast.
happening on the Woman Entrepreneurs podcast.
um um we have a couple of minutes, but so real quick, work life balance as a mom, because I know we have a ton of mommies that
Yes,
listen.
you're a
What would you
mom
say?
and you got a toddler. Oh,
And
Whew.
and a whole husband,
yes,
which is another toddler. No, I'm just
another
kidding.
toddler, another
It's
toddler.
honestly, it's been crazy. Like, my toddler I don't even know how my toddler has so much energy, but I feel like I need to keep up with this girl. Is, my biggest tip as a mother, a lot of moms, we have like this guilt, that if we try to work on ourselves as far as like maybe working out, go to the gym, get a massage or something like that. Like we have that guilt mom that we should always be around our children, and honestly, it shouldn't be that way. Like if
Mm-mm.
anything, that's something that I've definitely learned within my first 2 years of being a mom, because Nyla's going to be 2 in June. Is that for you to be a better mother, you need to work on yourself. You
Yes,
mentally, physically, emotionally,
emotionally.
like you cannot be drained. Being a mother is a full-time job. Like there's no break. Either the baby's sick, you got to feed them, you got to shower them, like play with them, whatever the case is. They need attention, things like that. So you
Mhm.
need your space, you need your zen, you need to work on you, your body, everything. Back then our moms were so like just with the babies that they
Yes,
forgot
dedicated to
about
us.
themselves. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and they forgot about them, and it shouldn't be that way. There needs to be a support system where your husband comes in and takes over and gives you, breaks, as far as like go to the gym, go get a facial, go get a massage. Like you need it, because we do a lot, and we work. Back then women didn't work, we work.
Mm-mm.
That's a lot,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think my biggest tip is don't lose yourself, becoming a mother or being a mother. Don't forget to take care of yourself, mind, body, and soul, 100%.
That's good
Absolutely.
advice.
I love
And
that.
lastly, what would you say in general, right? A tip, tool, resource, it could be anything, a lesson you've learned that you would give the audience, that wants to do something like you. They want to be an entrepreneur. They're looking to be a boss babe, a boss mom. What would you say?
Biggest tip to anyone that's looking to become an entrepreneur is to, before you even decide to do that, be mentally prepared that not everything's going to go as planned, and have a plan B. You cannot rely on entrepreneurial money when you don't have a game plan or anything like that. You need to be realistic with yourself and with your goals. If you're the type of person that cannot leave a 9 to 5 because you're depending on it, then you probably need to work on your entrepreneurial business maybe on the weekends or maybe after your 9 to 5. But I think my biggest advice would be not to just stick to a 9 to 5 because you can't leave it right now.
Yeah.
Work both jobs, but do something, because eventually later on in life it's gonna be worth it, and it's definitely gonna pay off.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I love that.
And if anybody wants to connect with you, Chicagoland area, obviously she's the realtor that I'm going to recommend you. Where can they find you?
You can definitely find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok. My username is at _ RE investor.
Okay. _ Emma RE investor.
RE investor.
All right. Well, Emma, thank you so much for joining us. I know you have a ton on your plate. I'm excited.
Thank you.
You're welcome anytime. Thank you for pouring into us and our audience and answering our questions.
We appreciate you.
Yes, I wish you nothing but success this year, girl.
Much. I appreciate it.
We'll be connecting for sure.
Sure. Okay. Nice seeing you guys. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Women Insurepreneurs. We hope you feel inspired and equipped for your journey in the insurance industry. Subscribe for more empowering conversations and connect with us on Instagram at Women Insurepreneurs. Make sure you join our meetup group so you don't miss any of our events. Until next time, keep shining and pursuing your dreams. Remember, your potential knows no bounds.